Good morning, students. We'll start now. Okay. So we started with yes. So we started with inference in first order logic yesterday, and we have seen propositional versus first order logic inference, and we have seen the concept of unification and lifting. So let us revise this concept very quickly because it is required in today's lecture also. So what we have seen yesterday. Uh, So first we try to follow one simplest approach uh, where we try to reduce the first order logic statement into the propositional logic statement. Then we decided to apply inference rules which are present in propositional logic, right? So for that we have seen these three rules, that is universal elimination. So here as the given sentence is true for all the elements from that universe of discourse, then we can replace this variable with one of the entity and then we can apply. So this is a normal propositional logic statement. So we can apply the inference rules, right? And then next one was the existential elimination. Now this quantifier says that it is true for at least one, and we don't know exactly which one is satisfying that, right? So that's why we replace this variable with one of the variable that doesn't occur elsewhere in the knowledge base. Okay, so if in the knowledge base we have John and suppose Eric is there, we'll replace the x variable with some another person, okay, which is not presently in the knowledge base because we don't know exactly who is satisfying that condition, and that constant is known as Colem constant, and the process is known as colemization. And then existential introduction. So you can always introduce the existential quantifier if the condition is satisfied by at least one entity. We have seen examples also, and then we have seen a lifting concept. So we have a modus ponens rules in propositional logic, and it is lifted to support first order logic statements. Okay, that process is known as lifting. And next concept is unification. Okay, so now here see, in order to make two sentences identical, we have to substitute some values. Okay, we have to substitute the values for the variables, right? That substitution is found out by the unification. Okay, and that substitution is known as unifier. Okay, so this substitution unifies two sentences. Okay, so this much we have seen. Okay, and today we will discuss forward chaining. Okay, so now so based on the knowledge which we have acquired so far, let us solve this example. It is asked in one of the university paper which is from 2018. So let us solve this. Show that the formula, so this is a given sentence alpha. The sentence says for all x p of x, and this is a not symbol, q of x implies p of x is unsatisfiable. Okay, so what do you mean by satisfiable function? A propositional function which is not a contradiction. We know that contradiction means what? If for any values of the variable, the final value will be false, right? So if the given function is not contradiction, then we can say that it is a satisfiable function. Okay, so we have to prove that this is a contradiction. Okay, then it will be a unsatisfiable function. Okay, so let us solve this. First step will be to remove this quantifier. Okay, now this is a universal quantifier, so we will apply universal elimination rule. Okay, so this sentence is true for all, so I will consider any element A, okay, and I will replace x with A. This A element belongs to universe of discourse. Okay, so our statement will become P of A P of A and not of Q of A, then implication P of A, right? Now this is a simple propositional statement. Now there is no quantifier. Now we can apply the inference rules. So first we will eliminate this implication. So we have implication elimination rule, right? So and not, okay, apply the implication elimination rule. So it will become negation of Q of A or P of A, sorry, P of A, okay, and then we will move this not inwards, okay. So that's why we have to apply De Morgan's law. So P of A and, okay, so not will cancel out, so I will get Q of A, okay. Recall the De Morgan's law, or will become and we will have negation of P of A. And as we have similar symbols, so no need of brackets, and if I consider these two terms, okay, P of A and negation of P of A becomes false, right? Then Q of A, and anything conjunction with false is false, right? So false. So this sentence is always false. That means it is a contradiction. That means it is unsatisfiable function. Any doubt in this problem? Okay. So so you should know the inference rules, right? And then you can easily solve such kind of a problem. I think it is asked for 4 or 5 marks, so it is very easy. Okay, then we'll start with the forward chaining. Okay, so we have seen the forward chaining concept in propositional logic also. Now it is lifted to support first order logic. Okay, so we remember the steps. We always start with the atomic sentence in the knowledge base, right? Atomic sentence means sentences means what? Okay, one without any symbol like conjunction and disjunction, like P, not P are the atomic sentences, whereas P or Q are the compound sentences, right? We'll start with the atomic sentences. Okay, so these are the given facts. Okay, so P is P can be representing X is politician, right? So these are the given facts. Okay, so we'll start with that. Then we apply modus ponens. Okay, so let me show you the modus ponens rules. So when you prepare for this unit, you have to first remember the rules, then it will be easy to grasp this concept. This first one is the modus ponens rule. Alpha implies beta and alpha is there, it implies beta. Okay, so if alpha is true and alpha implies beta is true, then we can conclude that beta is also true. That is modus ponens rule. Okay, so and let me show you forward chaining examples also. Now this will revise that concept. Okay, so we have seen this example when we discuss propositional logic, right? So we start with A and B. Okay, so this diagram grows in upward direction, right? So we start with the atomic sentences. A and B are the atomic sentences. Other sentences are in definite clause. Okay, we know definite clause and Horn clause, right? Okay, so these other sentences are in definite clause. We start with A and B. As A and B are true, then by applying modus ponens. Okay, so A and B are true, so this is modus ponens, right? L will be true, so L is added in the new list, known facts. Okay, then as L and B are known, M will be added to the known facts. Now as L and M are known, P will be added in the known facts. Okay, now this implication is coming from the knowledge base. This is our knowledge base, right? And finally we wanted to conclude Q, right? So as P is added to the known facts, then by applying modus ponens we can say that Q is also known. Okay, so this is about forward chaining. Now same concept is extended to support first order logic. Okay. Yes. Okay. So these are the common steps. So we'll start with atomic sentences, apply modus ponens, do this until no further inferences can be added. Okay. Then we'll discuss first order definite clause. Okay. So we know that definite clause means what? So this is the clause which is in disjunction form. So let me write the example: P or negation of Q or R. This sentence is in definite clause. Why? Because we have exactly one positive literal, okay, and all are negative. Okay, so they are the disjunction. Okay, so I expect you know about disjunction. Disjunction means or, represented by this symbol, and conjunction means what? And, which is represented by this, right? Okay, so they are the disjunction of literals of which exactly one is positive. Or we can write, okay, so let me modify this formula. Okay, so I will take and common, so it will become P and Q or R, which is reverse of De Morgan's law, right? Okay, and if I apply reverse of elimination rule, then it becomes P and Q implies R. Okay, so same formula can be written as this one also. So or definite clause can be defined as it is either atomic or is an implication whose antecedent means was, if we have implication in this form, P implies Q, P is known as antecedent and Q is known as consequent. So antecedent is the conjunction of positive literals. So here P and Q are positive literals and we have conjunction of that, and whose consequent is a single positive literal. Yes, R is a single positive literal. Okay, so definite clause can have two forms: either this one, which is a disjunction of literals where exactly one is positive, or it can be a implication whose antecedent is the conjunction of positive literals and the consequent is the single positive literal, right? Are you getting these points? Okay, so for applying forward chaining, your knowledge base should be in definite clause. That is the first requirement. If it is not in definite clause, you have to make some arrangement to bring it to the definite clause. Okay, so this is one example. Okay, I'm sorry I have taken directly screenshots from the PDF because I couldn't get sufficient time, so I directly pasted the screenshots. So this is example number 1. So these are the example of definite clause. So this is the atomic sentence. First, second one is the atomic, third one is directly atomic, and here we have the priority of and is high, so no need of bracket. So we have a implication where antecedent is the conjunction of the positive literals and consequent is the single positive literal, right? So this is one example of first order definite clause. Okay, why it is first order? Because you can see the variable there, right? Now this is second example. This is very famous example which is discussed in AI. Now consider the scenario. This is the English statement given. The law says that it is a crime for an American to sell weapons to hostile nations. The country No, an enemy of America, has some missiles, and all of its missiles were sold to it by Colonel West, who is American. Now from this given fact, we want to prove that West, that is Colonel West, is a criminal. Okay, it is criminal, right? Because of the first sentence, the law says that it is a crime. Okay, American to sell the weapons to the hostile nation. No is a hostile nation and it has some missiles, and it was sold by Colonel West, and West is American, so West is criminal, right? So we want to prove this. Okay, so let us prove this with the help of forward chaining. Okay, what we have to do, first step would be, okay, Now first step would be to convert the English statement into the first order logic statements, right? So we'll build our knowledge base. Okay, so from the first sentence we can derive this first order logic statement. It is a crime for an American to sell weapons. It is a crime for an American to sell weapons to hostile nation. So here intentionally the quantifiers are dropped to reduce the complexity. So X is an American, Y is weapon, and if X sells Y to Z, okay, and if Z is a hostile nation, then X will be the criminal. Okay, so this is the first sentence added in the knowledge base. No has some missiles, okay, and missiles are the weapons, right? Missiles are nothing but weapons, so we have to add this sentence also. If X is missile implies X is weapon also, okay. Okay, so no has some missiles, so we have added the predicate owns. No owns M1, okay. Some missiles, they said some missiles, that's why we have done here existential instantiation. This is actually existential elimination. So this M1 is our Skolem constant, okay. So we have introduced new constant M1, okay, and this M1 is actually a missile, right? Okay, so this two sentences are also added. All of its missiles were sold to it by Colonel West, okay. So the missiles, X missiles, which are owned by No, okay, it is actually sold by West. It is sold by West to X, sorry, West sells X to No, okay. Okay, so maintain the consistency, okay. How you mentioned here, same should be mentioned in the next sentences also, right? So West sold X to No, okay. Next we will also need to know the missiles are weapons, okay. So we have added this sentence also, okay. So we are building our knowledge base, okay. Next is so hostile nations are enemies to the America, right? So if, okay, so enemy X, if X is the enemy to the America, then he is a hostile nation, okay. That knowledge is also added. West, who is a American, so American West, okay. This is a atomic sentence. The country No, an enemy of America, okay. So No is the enemy of America, okay. So we have built our knowledge base, okay. We want to prove West is a criminal, okay. So now let us prove this with the help of forward chaining, okay. Similar to the previous example of forward chaining, this figure also grows upwards. Now rules remains the same, so we'll start with the atomic sentences. So we have these 4 atomic sentences. Now let us combine them, okay. So we have missile M1 and No owns M1, okay. So which is our given fact, okay, M1 and missile M1, okay. And if these two are true, okay, missile X owns No X implies West has sold X to No, right? So we have derived that fact, okay. And we have this implication also, missile X implies weapon X. So missile M1 implies weapon M1, okay. And then enemy No America, okay. So here only we have enemy X America implies hostile X, okay. So that means No is a hostile nation, okay. And from the first sentence, American weapon sales hostile implies criminal, right? So American weapon sales hostile implies criminal, okay. So this is how forward chaining works. Any doubt? Up to this point it was only knowledge based creation, okay. These facts were given, we have first created the knowledge base, okay. We have seen the example. I don't think you have seen my uploaded video, okay. But we have seen how to convert the English statement into the first order logic statement. Okay, and knowledge base was built, and then we have applied the rules of forward chaining. Okay, and this sentence is proved. This is all about forward chaining. And then next one is, I think I forgot to start the recording. Any doubt till this point? Next one is backward chaining. Okay, backward chaining, its way of working is just reverse. Here we start with the goal and chaining through the rules to find the known facts that support the proof. Okay, so here we go downwards, we find out all the required facts to prove that. Okay, and how we find out that? We see that to which implication criminal west is present at the right part. Okay, criminal west is here, right? So we have to prove these 4 facts. Okay, we will write that there. Okay, and then to prove weapon we need this fact. Okay, and missile Y is there in our known fact, missile M1. Okay, so here we have to do unification and some universal elimination also. Okay, and this is the substitution required. Okay, we need to replace Y with M1 because M1 is there in our known facts. See here, M1, right? So we have to do some unification. Okay, we have to find out the substitution, and this base facts are determined, and then we go upwards. Okay, so we try to find out the known facts that supports the proof. Okay, that is a backward chaining. Is it clear to you? Okay, same is discussed when we discuss propositional logic, right? Now the final mechanism of inference is resolution. Okay, and in order to apply resolution, okay, let me show you the resolution law which is used in propositional logic. Okay, see, resolution law. Okay, so what we have here, alpha or beta, this is one fact. Second fact is not of beta or gamma implies alpha or gamma. Okay, so here we have 2 complementary variables. Okay, beta and not beta. Okay, so same variable with opposite signs. Okay, that is the complementary variable. So we can drop this variable and just combine the remaining variables. Okay, so we have alpha or gamma, that is the resolution law. And the requirement of resolution law is that the fact should be in CNF form. Okay, we have seen the CNF also, right? CNF, that is product of sum. See, product, this is the example, product of sum. Okay, so every literal, every clause should be a disjunction of literals. Okay, and we should have and between them. Okay, product of sum, right? So this is a CNF. So the facts should be in CNF. Okay, so let us resume. So we are studying resolution for first order logic now. So first we have to convert our first order logic statement in the CNF form. Okay, so we consider the same crime example now. So here it is not in CNF. Okay, so you convert it to the CNF and you will get this sentence. Okay, you can apply the same implication elimination, that De Morgan's law, and you can determine this. Okay, now we'll see the conversion steps. Okay, how to convert a given statement into the CNF. So this is another sentence. It says everyone who loves all animals is loved by someone. Okay, everyone who loves all animals is loved by someone. Okay, so so if y is animal, okay, and x loves y, okay, for all x, for all such people who loves all the animals, okay, if they loves all the animals, implies that there is someone, there is some y who loves x, okay, loved by someone, right? Okay, so this is our, at the start we have this sentence. Okay, now we want to convert it into CNF. First we will eliminate the implication. Okay, so we will get this one. Okay, so implication, if you remove implication, or is added and the antecedent will have not, right? Then we have to move not inwards. Okay, we know the rules of inversion. All will become existential quantifier, existential quantifier will become universal quantifier, and predicate will be negated, right? Okay, and then yes, you do the simplification, and finally you will get this sentence. Okay, now okay, it is not in CNF now. Okay, the next sentence is standardize the variables. Okay, so what is the need of that? Okay, see here we have used same variable twice, see y, okay, and here also y is used. Okay, now meaning of this will be, the sentence now reads either there is someone. Okay, now what is the problem in that? There can be a confusion. Okay, now scope of variables is different. Now the scope of y is between this bracket, and the scope of this y is between first bracket, right, within this first bracket. Now when we standardize the variable, what we do, we use separate names. Okay, so the second y is replaced with z in order to just avoid the confusion. Next one is the Skolemization, that is the process of removing existential quantifier. Okay, we know this step, right? Okay, universal quantifier can be easily removed, right? But how to remove the existential quantifier? We know that we can replace the variable with Skolem constant, right? If you do that, so y is replaced with a and z is replaced with b. Now what is the meaning now? Okay, so if we blindly apply the Skolemization, this will happen. Now what is the problem in that? Now the meaning of this sentence become, it says that everyone either fails to love a particular animal A, or it is loved by some particular entity B. Okay, now we are not sure about the what is B. Okay, we lost that information. Okay, B is a person, right? Okay, that information is lost. Because of that, what we do, we replace the variable with Skolem function. Instead of replacing it with Skolem constant, we replace it with Skolem function, and that information that we want to preserve will be written in the definition of this Skolem function. Okay, just remember in that way. Okay, so we will not replace y with a, it will be replaced with some function of x. Okay, and lastly, drop the universal quantifier. Yes, then distribute or over and. Okay, just distribute it. Okay, so see here, this is my first clause, which is disjunction of the literals, and second clause again a disjunction, and now it is in CNF. Okay, so this is in product of sum form, product of sum. Okay, this is the first step of resolution. You convert your knowledge base in CNF form, and then you can apply the resolution law. Now what is the resolution law? Here you want complementary literal. Okay, so here we have loves and not of loves. Now they are complementary, but see the parameters. Here we have g of x, and here we have uv, right? So what we have to do, you have to first apply unification. Okay, we have studied unification, right? Here unification will give us unification will return us the substitution that you have to make, right? Okay, so first we will apply the unification. So unification will return me this substitution. U has to be substituted with function g of x, v has to be substituted with x, okay, and then we'll drop this complementary literals and combine the remaining one. Okay, that is known as resolvent clause. Resolvent clause, yes. Okay, and okay, so let us see the example, same crime example. So this is the known facts, right, and it is converted into CNF. Okay, and okay, so now there is a mistake in this. Okay, there is printing mistake in the PDF. The जहाँ पे भी आपको एरर कोड दिख रहा है, इट इज़ एक्चुअली और. ओके, जहाँ पे भी आपको हैश लाइक स्ट्रक्चर दिख रहा है, इट इज़ एक्चुअली और. Okay, so now we'll proceed. Okay, and I think I miss one thing. In resolution, it is a proof by contradiction. Okay, so whatever sentence that you want to prove, you have to add the negation of that as the premise. Okay, you have to include the negated goal also. Okay, we wanted to prove that West is a criminal. Okay, so we have to add that negation version of that also. Okay, and then just proceed in the same way that we did in propositional logic. Okay, so here we have negation of criminal West, and here we have criminal X. Okay, so you just remove that. Now X has to be replaced with West now because of the unification, right? Okay, so see, okay, so it is resolved to this one. Okay, so X is replaced with West now. Okay, and then we have American West. West is an American, we know that, right? So American and not of American, resolve that. Okay, so if you proceed in this way, now you will come to a contradiction. So here we are saying enemy and not of enemy. Okay, and which is a contradiction, so our assumption is wrong. So West is a criminal. This is another example. Okay, so I leave this example to you. Okay, and this is the solution is also given, so please go through that. Okay, so that is the end of the 5th unit, and I deliberately ignored one point, that is regarding completeness and soundness of this inference algorithm. Why? Because the explanation is very much complicated and I don't want to complicate the things, and it is not even asked in the exam. Okay, so that is it. So we have completed the 5th unit also. Okay, unification, forward chaining, backward chaining, and resolution. Okay, now next unit is regarding uncertainty, how to handle the uncertain scenario. Okay, there Bayesian rules we have to study, and we are familiar with that, right? Okay, so probability will come there. Okay, any doubt in 5th unit?